As mentioned, very nice to meet you, Anne. And
Same
thank
over
you
here.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much for doing this and jumping on. And before we start, and before I forget, Merry Christmas as well.
Same to you. Same to you. When is your last
Oh,
working day?
24, Christmas Eve.
Perfect. 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 So you're almost there. You're almost there. A
Almost.
very well-deserved one.
Yeah. Is that similar for you?
Yeah. It's similar for us. Yes. We're just going to be running like a skeleton team. For I think there are a few days aside from the public holidays. So we're just going to be running a skeleton team during the non-public holidays just to make sure the basic things are covered. But aside from that, everyone is already on break. So some people have even started on the 18th. Like
Oh,
18th
wow.
was their last working day. Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very early. Nice. Um, so I guess, I mean, this is the first time I've met you. So, and I understand you work for, I think it's Domain Name
Yeah.
Commission.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So would you be able to give a bit of background about who
Yeah.
you are and what you do?
Yes, sure, definitely. So I'm basically a computer science graduate, but that was a bit of long time ago now. So after that, I started my career working as a developer. So as an ASP.NET developer for not too
A-
long, and then
ASP.
.NET.
That
Yeah, that was
that's
the old
going
days.
back.
Yeah, yeah, very
I did a
old days.
I did a bit of PHP as well, way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, exactly. A long way back. And then I shifted to the university. It was a German university in Cairo because I was teaching computer science for first year students. And then off to Oracle to work as a consultant. I worked at Oracle as a consultant for 2 years. And then to the country
Was
code
that
top
in
level domains
was that
industry.
in Egypt? Was that in
Yeah,
Egypt?
that was in Cairo, Egypt. Yep, yes.
Uh,
And then after the country code top level world in Qatar. So I worked for the .QA registry for 10 years. And then from the .QA registry, I moved to .NZ. I am actually having
What's the
I
dot
did
Q? Sorry,
the
what's the dot?
.QA is the country code top level domain of Qatar. Like we do have .NZ, for instance, the US has the .US, Emirates has the .AE, and so on. Canada has .CA. Each and every single country has its own country code top level domain. That's your address on the internet, but that's your country's sort of a delegated country code top level domain that you get from the ICANN thing. So everyone is able to get a .com domain name, but you would get a country code top level domain name depending on the policies and depending on the policies and regulations of that CCTLD. In other terms, so
CCLTV?
CCTLD, so country code top level
Top,
domain.
got it.
So country code
CCTLD.
top level domain, yeah. And they call the .com ones generic GTLD, generic top level domains. So GTLD is generic top level domains. CCs are country codes top level domains. It's not our terminology; it's a worldwide terminology. So so these ones are called country code top level domains. So jumping from a country code top level domain of Qatar to the country code top level domain of New Zealand.
Got it. So are you saying that you were in Egypt and then in Egypt you were looking after the Qatar, or did you move to Qatar?
No, we moved from Cairo. So we moved from Oracle from Cairo and we moved to Qatar. We lived in Qatar for
Oh,
10 years. I worked for the Qatari government for 10 years looking after the .QA from a regulation perspective, and then to New Zealand for the .NZ.
oh, excellent. And when did you
Yeah,
move to New Zealand then? It was recent, was
I'm
it?
very recent. It was only September 2019. So
Oh,
almost 15 months back. Yeah. Very new, very fresh.
and
I just
what
came in just before the pandemic. I just jumped in before they closed the door.
nice. What brought you to New Zealand then?
Yeah, that's the rabbit hole story. So I know that looks very, very, very interesting. So what happened was that I really, really, really was after the Christchurch news. I definitely knew Australia very well because I'm an Australian permanent resident, sorry. So I knew Australia very well, and New Zealand being close to Australia, you're sort of following the news. And when I got to know about the Christchurch thing, it looked very, very, very unexpected, especially to that area of the world. I know that is happening in other areas all over the globe, but for that specific area, it looks really, really, really unexpected. And then I wrote over to Jordan, he's the CEO of Internet New Zealand, and I said I'm really interested in the work you're doing and whatever sort of online harm prevention approach you're taking. I'm really interested to understand that work being done. And then I got from there. So they were doing some sort of hiring at that point of time, and I got into the Domain Name Commission, which is basically the regulatory body of .nz, where Internet New Zealand is the one managing the delegation of the .nz country code top level domain, but the Domain Name Commission is a sister company that is looking after the regulation of the .nz CCTLD. So I came in that way. That wasn't really expected, but for me it was a very, very good move at a very perfect timing because I really, really enjoy what we do over here.
Wow. So you kind of like made your own opportunity by reaching out.
Sort of, yes, like 99.99%, it was that thing. No one on earth would believe you that it came that way, but it just happened. And I think if it was to happen in other places, it wouldn't have been as smooth as it is because we are sort of a community where, because it's not too many people, you can easily get to what you're really after. So.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
at the Domain Name Commission, the DNC,
Yeah.
what do you do there? Do you look after policy, is it, or?
No, I look after, I'm a business analyst and implementation manager. So there has been some sort of review on something called David Pickens recommendations based on a review. So I do implement some of these recommendations. And I also work with Internet New Zealand on the registry replacement project. And with the .nz policies being revised, because there is a very big project that Internet New Zealand is doing where they are revamping or updating the policies and the registry platform, the infrastructure. So with these two pieces changing, there are going to be a lot of process changes. So I'm looking also after the process changes. And we're also doing some sort of major changes and enhancements to our .nz dispute resolution policy. Sorry, dispute resolution service, sorry. To the .nz dispute resolution service. So these are the main things I'm responsible for.
Sounds very interesting. And
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and
it
then
is. I think the timing too is very, very good because when you're coming at a timing when main building blocks are really getting enhanced and renovated, you really get to see the change and you're part of the change and you can impact the change. You get to change the process. You make sure that everything is getting all together and you can easily grab the big picture.
I see. So
Yeah.
then coming across into the Domain Name Commission, what linked you to BlockchainNZ then?
Yeah, I know. So I was just like, it has been like 2 years where I am really interested in the decentralization concept. And it's very hard also to think of it from a concept perspective and to explain it to others. So it has been 2 years. I'm trying to understand what a blockchain really is. And just because out of that interest, there has been a vacancy on the BlockchainNZ executive board. And then I thought I'll give it a try because I can link and connect with other people that would definitely be interested in the blockchain in general and can help me do some research on the how a decentralized domain name system might look like. So I just applied for it and I got it. But the idea basically was everyone was talking cryptocurrency and specifically Bitcoin. And I'm not into the cryptocurrency world much, but I'm really interested in the decentralization concept. So I just thought, because I don't want to be doing it like sort of an interest thing where I don't get to be doing some sort of formal meetings and formal discussions and get into the network and community that could really push me towards a specific track unintentionally, where I can get more knowledge without having to schedule it myself. So I thought I'll just give it a try, because it's really good to be in a community where you get to do meetings, you get to see people, you get to hear people talking. Alex would most of the time publish new books and you would get to read a new book, things like that. So, but the main thing is the interest in the decentralization concept and how a decentralized domain name system might look like.
Oh, I see. Very nice.
Yeah.
It seems like you're a person of action, you know. So you reach out, go to New Zealand, you try for the blockchain executive council, you know. So
it's all trials. It's all trials.
Yeah. If you never try, you never know, right? So,
I definitely, yeah. I really agree. Yes.
That's great.
You just
So
give it a hard try.
Yeah. So then you're on the blockchain executive board. Do you remember the first time you came across, say, the word or the concept of Bitcoin or blockchain?
I don't recall, honestly. Like Bitcoin, I only heard Bitcoin. I know that's going to be crazy, but that was like recent, maybe 3-4 years ago, when everyone was only talking about it from an investment point of view. And also blockchain, I didn't hear about it much, but maybe because the area where I used to live before, they don't have any community blockchain foundation activity. So that's why the whole concept was sort of like new. But I know, like Wikipedia stuff, I know that the Bitcoin has been there since 2009, but I don't even recall when was it the first thing. I only recall that people were trying to buy and sell, and that wasn't too far away, maybe 2 or 3 years ago only. And then they were talking about how the boom has taken place price-wise. But aside from that, no, I don't recall. I was really, really interested in that, or I was really, really having a good understanding at that point of time. So.
Because what I find is that when you start talking about blockchain, the technology, and avoid the currency speculation and fluctuation, a lot of the conversation eventually turns back to Bitcoin, and then someone's gonna ask, "Have you seen the price recently?"
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Even my husband is doing the same exact thing, because they really don't want to look at the technology. They just want to look at the implementation part of it. And if we're going to go like if we're going to be taking only one single track of the cryptocurrency thing, we're not going to be able to use blockchain technology, because it's like you're using you're just using the internet for browsing, but you're not using the internet to open your browser. You're using the internet as an infrastructure to do each and every single other thing. So we're only looking at the browser thing, like comparable to the cryptocurrency, but we're not looking at the infrastructure or the technology. So that's why even Alex is always trying to de-link the concept of blockchain from Bitcoin. So not like she doesn't talk Bitcoin every time there's blockchain. She tries to talk more blockchain and technology. So, but yeah, I know it's overlinked. So some people, they don't even know the blockchain, they only know the Bitcoin. So, and then if they don't know the Bitcoin, they know the cryptocurrency alternative. So blockchain equal cryptocurrency for them, which shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. When you say Alex, you were talking about Alex Sims, right? The lecturer at I think professor or associate professor at Auckland University.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's a professor. I think so.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
So then with your interest in the decentralized namespace, have you looked into it much? Or, for example, I know ENS, the Ethereum name service, is very popular.
Yeah, very, very popular now. So I was trying to go dive in this one a bit, and even Mark Pascal was trying. He said we're going to be having sessions, me and him, to dive in further, but I haven't yet dived a lot. So I'm still doing some research on the ENS and trying to understand how it works and where other services like get to link to it, but I haven't yet done much of the research. But I'm thinking if I manage to do a reasonable amount of research, I can pick it from there.
Got it. Because
Mm.
I looked at the ENS website, and it seems quite a simple process to go and purchase a something.eth domain name.
Yes,
So
right.
perhaps we could go ahead and go through that process one day together, and maybe show other
Yeah,
people.
yes, we would definitely. Yes, we would
Yeah.
definitely. But again, you want to compare it to where you are. And because everyone is going to ask you, like, why this? Why not the old way? So we just need to understand the differences, the advantages, and the disadvantages. But yes, it would definitely be interesting looking at it. Again, also coming from a regulatory angle, how the disputes might look like, how like unauthorized domain name changes might look like, things like that. So again, looking at it from a regulatory angle, which is not going to be a regulatory angle at that point because it's going to be decentralized, but again, from a consumer protection angle, is really going to be interesting. But I really, yes, like on my list, I really want to dig into the ENS more.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Maybe
a bit
next
of
time, yes,
Christmas.
we can create. Yeah, yeah, definitely. We can create a domain name on the ENS and then go play around from there.
So maybe a bit of Christmas reading on ENS
Yeah,
and decentralize.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Very nice. So,
Mm.
on the executive council, what's your particular role then? Is it like linking with people, or?
Yeah, yeah, we're linking all together, and we're dividing it into projects. So there are some projects where it's more than one person on, and there are some interest like your own project where you're interested in it. And for other things, we're trying to like do some sort of educational pieces or run some events. So my project is I really want to understand, or my interest project is I just want to understand the ENS and how a decentralized domain name system would look like. But generally speaking, it's more of getting the big picture of how the blockchain New Zealand can eventually grow and support blockchain in New Zealand.
Mm, mm. Maybe we should go and purchase blockchainNZ.eth.
Yeah, I think
ETH.
so. Yeah, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Yes, that would be a good idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then maybe
Yeah.
we can, yeah, yeah, I think that would be a really, really great idea. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. And then, I mean, in the talk of Bitcoin and blockchain, everyone always likes to think about the future, And so,
Yeah.
for example, for Bitcoin, people are speculating that the price at the moment, it's like 23,000 US dollars, an all-time high, or ATH as they call it. And people are saying, oh, it's going to go to 50,000, 100,000, etc. All on the currency side, right? And then in the blockchain side, uh, what do you see that the future holds? I mean, are you positive about it, or do you think that decentralization governments are going to come in and shut it down, for example?
I think they're just going to keep trying, but eventually it's going to make its way because change takes time and change always is associated with some sort of resistance. So, whatever you're in, as long as it's working up and running, then people really don't want to change. So, no one would be working from home or working on a blended model just because they just sleep and wake up tomorrow. Let's work from home, or let's work on a blended model, or let's change the overall environment and make it a flexible one. So, but because they were pushed to that change because of the pandemic, they had to give it a try and they had to get it to work. So I think it's going to happen, but it's really going to take a lot of time and much more resistance for it to happen. But I think as long as there are drivers and there are some technologists and some other people that are really trying to keep um, pushing it. I think it's gonna be there. I definitely don't know when and how, but I know it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time.
That's a
I
very
think so.
good, yeah, that's a very good point actually, because people or humans are naturally resistant to change, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but when something forces you to change, then you have no choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes, exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
very
there was
interesting.
something also very interesting that they were talking about on the one time when we were doing a blockchain event. Like some people said that when the Linux server started long time back ago, like developers used to install the Linux on their own responsibility and no one knew they were using it. And then like 12 or 18 months later, what is this one? It's a Linux. It's an operating system. It's working. Oh, really? Is it working? Perfect. So some people are trying to do things now behind the scenes just to keep things running. And then later on, people will figure out that, oh, really? Are we using this technology? Then cool. So again, they're trying to implement the same approach. It's not as easy because it's not going to be, the visibility is now very high. You can't do something invisible as you used to do it before. Now everything is very transparent. But again, like I think as long as people are still trying to get there or to keep the ball rolling, we're going to definitely get somewhere.
That's actually a very good analogy, actually. So you've raised two great analogies. The first one being about the internet, right? Using the internet just to browse, which is like
Yeah,
using Bitcoin just for cryptocurrency, but it's a lot wider than that. And the fact that Linux became so big in stealth mode almost, because people, you're right, people are resistant to change, but as long as it's working and you're providing the services, no one really
yes,
cares what's under the covers. So great
yeah,
examples.
yeah.
Ah, very nice. So you are a technology student, as you mentioned in your computer science.
I'm just trying to go by the book and the science. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have also to consider what's going around. But at the end of the day, you just link it to the
Mm,
science, and at the end of the day, what you see is what you get. But we know it's going to happen. It's really going to happen, but it's the timing. And I see
mm.
people over here, the ones that are really working on it, they're really giving it a very hard try. So
Got
we're
it.
gonna see.
I've got a random question for you about domain names. So you
Yeah,
said that every country has a country code, CC, top level
yeah,
domain name, right? The NZ and QA and US. Is there one for Australia, AU,
yeah,
dot
yeah,
AU?
yeah. You're right.
There is?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Is it,
That's
is,
.au is the country code top level domain. So you said it already. So .au is Australia's country code top level domain. If you just go to the ICANN website, that's the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, you can see the full set of each and every single country code top level domain and which country had that delegation and who is the manager of that country code. Something called GTLD, which is the generic top level domains, and something called new GTLD, which are the new generic top level domains, and some people call them new geographical top level domains. And you're going to also find some interesting disputes, like there was a dispute I think over .amazon, on like Amazon wants .amazon and Amazon country wants the Amazon, things like that. So the full set of each and every single, there are some generic top level domains that might be uncommon, like people can take .books, .club, things like that. Even some brands were thinking of having their own .new generic top level domain. But at the end of the day, it's each and every single country code top level domain, generic top level domain, new generic top level domain is listed on the ICANN's website along with the full delegation record. The full delegation record is on the IANA, which is the technical arm of ICANN. So, and over there it lists who is the manager, when was it delegated, some sort of admin technical stuff there. So yes, Australia definitely has its country code top level domain and it's .au.
is .au purchasable? Can I buy .au?
I think
Like,
so.
because
I think,
the reason why I ask is my surname is AU, and
yeah.
I can only buy .com.au. But imagine if I could buy Sean.au.
No, you can buy yourname.au, but you're not going to be able to buy au.au because that's going to be protected as per the standard. So you can't register a domain name string being a country code top level domain in itself. So technically that's not going to be doable. So there is a registration policy, and as per the registration policy, it tells you who can take a domain name under that CCTLD, and there are some sort of technical requirements for the string. Like you can, for instance, have dash dash myname.au, for instance, or dash dash myname dot the CCTLD, because there are some technical not only limitations, but some security considerations also for registering the domain name. So special characters, things like that. And there is also something called IDN, which is internationalized domain names, where people register domain names in their own language. So for instance, yeah, you can register the domain name in Arabic string, and then it gets translated to Punycode on the DNS level, so it's workable. And the IDN idea was basically because there were some very big countries, I think like China, India, and these people, they want to type in the URL in their own language. So they don't want to only search the content in their own language and type the string in English or ASCII. They want to type it in their own language, and that's why the IDN idea came up. There are some accessibility issues with the IDN that the ICANN has been working on intensively for years. Some accessibility issues, I think, in relation to the emails and some stuff. But there are a lot of IDN domain names all around. And yes, you can register a domain name under .au. I'm not going to talk definitely on behalf of the .au, but you need to check the policies, the registration policy specifically. But I'm sure you can't take au.au. That's not going to be possible, of course.
Yeah, sure. And I also think the minimum number of characters is 2. Is it, or 3? Because you can't buy one.com, right?
It depends on the country code top level domains policies. Some have, I think, some have 2, some have a minimum of 2, some have a minimum of 3. And there are other considerations also, like dashes, dots, things like that. So
so they could be all different depending on the policy of the country.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes, depending on each country's registration policy. Yeah. Yes.
And something, I know we're diverting away from Bitcoin and blockchain, but with the random domain names, like you mentioned .book, .club, .hotel, where did that come from? And is that unlimited, really? Because they're just words.
Yeah, exactly. They're just generic words, and then they're not unlimited. They depend on when the ICANN opens up applications for submitting such requests. Their process is quite intensive technically and very heavy financially. So not anyone can apply for a generic top level domain that is like .money, .finance, .insurance, things like that. But there is a full process on when they open rounds for applications, and what criteria is it there so you can get, and what sort of also geographical location, because some people take like a city name, like Melbourne, Sydney, things like that. So I'm not very aware of the full process, but I'm 100% sure that the process is all there, very well documented. And again, it's heavy technical and heavy on financial requirements, because at the end of the day, they want to guarantee some sort of stability and continuity for whichever extension that gets published or that gets used.
Got it. I'm just checking. Is it possible to buy a .bitcoin or .blockchain domain name?
That's not a domain name. That's going to be an extension. So that's going to be a full extension.
What does that mean, an extension?
Like, it's not a domain name. You're not buying a domain name. You're buying the extension thing, like the country code top level domain, the generic top level domain, the new generic top level domain. You're getting an extension. So you're not getting a domain name. You're getting the extension. So it's going to be myname.blockchain. So we can check, even there could be ones and we don't know. So we can definitely check. Or
correct. You're right.
I think that would be interesting to check. Yeah. So we will check the .blockchain and the .ens.
I got the terminology wrong. You're not buying the domain name, you're buying the extension.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Got it.
applying
Got
for
it.
the extension.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because I don't know if you can, but that would be interesting though, something
Yeah, definitely. It would be
dot
interesting to
blockchain
know.
or yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. So let me just double check. Yeah, so that's actually a fascinating background about yourself. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess, do you have any plans for Christmas? You taking a bit of time off before getting back into things?
Yeah, we're definitely. I'm gonna just take some time off back home with the kids because I've been around a lot within New Zealand this year. So I've
Yeah.
been really traveling. I've been heavy on traveling all around New Zealand this year. So we might only take the break to rest. So and then hopefully we're gonna re-explore the other areas of New Zealand that we haven't explored. But because my parents were around during the lockdown and afterwards, so we've just used the chance to go all around, and it has been really good time. So we will most likely take a break for that one, for that time.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
once again so much for doing this. I mean, it's been very fascinating with your background about the domain names.
No, I would be the one to thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, I'll catch you next time, man.
Sure. Take
Okay.
care.